Good morning, traders. This is my morning brief video. Everything is looking bullish this morning. So be very mindful of that. You do not want to be coming in out of the gate shorting the markets, in my opinion. So be quite cognizant of that scenario today. Two main headlines hitting the tape overnight. Microsoft raised their dividend and announced a buyback. So it is gapping above the call wall this morning. And then, in addition to that, Intel picked up a massive uh, bid for to make all the AI chips for Amazon. So, Intel, they are bringing it from dead with this latest bout of news. So basically, what we got going on here, we saw yesterday. We came down to the post Labor Day anchored started the anchored VWAP. They defended it yesterday here on SPY. We never really spent any time at all below that. That suggested that we were building a base for higher prices yesterday in SPY. Okay, but as I said yesterday, what I look for is the Qs and the Russell to give me my two risk on indicators in the markets, and they were actually acting uh, coming up into resistance and rejecting early on yesterday, giving us a more, well, it ended up being a more mixed scenario. You could play to either side. Today, I tend to like to trade a lot of puts, but today, I'm telling you right now, I have no intention of trading puts. The things are looking really too strong here. So I've got my market webs on here. The green areas represent 70% of the prior day's volume. So the price points, where we're at, we're breaking out above that. So we're technically in price discovery to the upside using the Market Webs platform. We filled the gap from the Labor Day gap down. So SPY has officially filled that gap. So it was the last one to do so. No, it wasn't. It was IWM still has a gap above it. I'm sorry, but Q's had already filled it today. Now SPY is filling its gap to the upside. Okay, so basically, this is my shortest dated anchored VWAP right down here. We are currently trading above that. That's that orange line. Um, so we're trading above that anchored VWAP here. So everything is on the bullish side this morning. Even a back test of that line technically is by the dip. So, you don't really want to bet the farm chasing here because it's not an ideal entry spot here for SPY if you're trying to go long early on this morning. Qs. So we've already once filled that gap. We're still inside of this gap area. We are currently trading below that anchored VWAP from the day after Labor Day. So it acted as resistance yesterday. It's still acting as resistance today. I don't know if that'll remain the case. We do have, so that's showing us a little bit more relative weakness early on this morning, similar to what we had yesterday. Okay, SPY is actually outperforming here, so uh, definitely keep this on watch. We are currently trading above the anchored VWAP, so that's bullish. Okay, so even our shortest dated anchored VWAP, we're on the bullish side of that. I'm I find it much more difficult to be shorting the resistance today than I did yesterday, given the current pattern that I'm seeing in the markets. So just be mindful of that. Even in the Qs, I find it much more difficult to be shorting the same resistance that we did yesterday. So I think it's much more likely that we actually probably possibly break to higher highs today here in the Qs. IWM. So yesterday we were coming in right out of the gate yesterday morning. This is the right here represents the post Labor Day anchored VWAP. I was shorting it. I shorted it twice, made some pretty good money on it. On IWM, we're back into that area today. Like I said, uh, now that we have now we put that base in right there. Now we have a tradable floor in the market. So above that, you got to stay bullish. We didn't really have a tradable floor in yesterday's session. Now we we do. So be very mindful of that. Really good odds that we might be filling this gap today on IWM before the rate announcement tomorrow. So heads up on that. I really don't like even this one here. I don't like the short side. So heads up on that. Diamonds. We're right up here in the all-time high area on the diamonds, above the anchored VWAP here. Everything looks bullish. You know, so be very mindful of that. Quite likely new all-time highs today, so be very mindful of that. SMH. So our semiconductors, uh, basically we had some consolidation here. We're already trying to break. We're right into our call wall for the week here on SMH. We're trying to break above the call wall and to break above the anchor VWAP this morning. So be very mindful of this. Technically, this is a short setup until it's not. So, we're looking up from the bottom. We're opening into resistance technically here. Technically, it should be a short setup, but we'll see. Um, the fact that we're coming into that line, the call wall, we'll see what happens here in today's session. Okay, Apple. Okay, so we're currently, looks like we might be crossing out. This is my top watch this morning, thinking buy the dip from yesterday's sell-off. So this is one of my top watches for today, possibly buy the dip on Apple after the massive sell-off yesterday. So be mindful of this one. Okay, this is our anchored VWAP. It looks like we'll be going around 7, 8 o'clock. We should be crossing over that. So we might actually miss a lot of the move. If I'm right, this thing should rally, even rally pretty good before 9:30 this morning. So, or it could come down, and you know, just kind of consolidate down here into 9:30, and then possibly set up for a bullish setup. Ideally, that's what I'd be looking for, is for us to consolidate down here. But so there's so many things looking bullish this morning. I don't know if we can even get that. So we'll see what happens on that. So this is my top watch, is a buy the dip. I was thinking about maybe a 10 lot or something right out of the gate on that. Microsoft is in, boom, 4:30. This is a massive call wall. We just exploded through this morning. Be very mindful of this. This thing has legs. This thing truly has some legs here. So see what happens here. Coming right off the anchored VWAP base and just exploding here in the uh, yeah, like I said, with the news that just came out and stuff. So uh, uh, very difficult to short something like this. If you go over here into the weekly expiration, the call wall, where's it at? Okay, as of yesterday, now it's 4:45. Okay, I didn't update that call wall. That was from Friday. Now the call wall is 4:45. So where are we at now? That's way up here. So we're probably going to run all the way to the 4:45. Okay. So Friday the call wall was down here, and now it's up here. So be mindful of that. I don't see it stopping. So we'll see what happens. AMD, we are on the bullish side of trend. Intel getting that big deals. That could actually be a little bit negative for AMD and NVIDIA. So we'll see what happens here on that. We're right into this 150 area, which is a massive area. Then that, excuse me. It's a massive area. I don't really want to like trading AMD right here because of this. There's so much congestion on both sides on the calls and puts right here. So we're on the bearish side of trend right currently here on the NVIDIA. This is our anchored VWAP right here. 7:30. This actually looks to be running into that trend line at 9:30 this morning. So be very mindful of that. We could be getting a anchored VWAP cross right out of the gate this morning on NVIDIA to the upside, going right back into that massive call wall. I think that's still, it's 120. I mean, 120 is just a massive barrier to get through. 120 right there. 138,000 contracts are open right at the 130. Very difficult to get through that. wall there. Very, very difficult to get through it. Massive. Okay, Tesla, similar situation, coming right into that trend. Uh, so, 230, there is a massive call wall around 230. Go over here and look at this. 60,000 contracts sitting at 230. So, ideally, what I like to do is see us starting to accept prices above these call walls pre-market, which we're currently not. Otherwise, I consider those resistance levels until proven otherwise. So running up to the 230 area, that's fine. I just don't think we can hang out above there too long. We'll see what happens. Um, Probably not going to be able to break out without some sort of news catalyst like Microsoft had this morning. Definitely using Microsoft to goose the markets. Meta, very strong pattern on Meta. Uh, we're back into price discovery early on this morning. Massive call wall down here that uh, we've been building a base off of at the call wall, and they could not break it down. So that's two tags, couldn't break it down. So anybody holding those calls there at the 520, if they didn't get out, they're getting spanked. So where's 520 at? Yeah, that's not all these calls right here. They're gonna have to. It's gonna be a forced selling situation on all those calls. And now we're opening the door. Look at this, the 550 area. So heads up on that. Yeah, these guys, if they weren't smart enough to get out at 520, they're going to get run over today here on Meta. Google, really been acting pretty weak. We are crossing uh, crossing a little bit more bullish this morning here. Still not a big fan of Meta, so be very mindful of that. It is on the bullish side of this week's trend so far. Top of this range. Let's see what happens with that one. We are crossing a Rubicon this morning here on the anchored VWAP, so we're turning on the bullish side for September on the inventory for Google this morning. Let's see here what we got going on here. Potentially crossing to the bullish side of the downtrend here early on here on Amazon. Could be going back up to the highs. This is our last big call wall. So we came down, we tested it, we couldn't break down. So we're into this massive big call wall, which so far has proven as support, just like on NVIDIA. So be very mindful of that. Uh, so all these people sitting at these 185 strikes could be a not massive. Where's 185? 33,000 contracts open there. So we do have a cluster: 33,000, 24,000, 39,000. There's a nice little cluster there. Those tend to be decent trading walls for upside. So be very mindful of that. The upside, there's a lot of calls being sold above us here to the upside, acting as resistance. Don't like seeing that if I'm bullish a stock. Okay. Financials, really nice breakout breakout of the downtrend yesterday on financials. We're continuing that this morning in price discovery. Could very well be up here today. I think the door is wide open for the 4550 here on financials. Heads up on that. I like this pattern. Really do. We're above the anchored VWAP. We're in an uptrend on the anchored VWAP. I really like this setup here on financials today. XLI. Uh, we're above our current anchored VWAP. That's all I can really say on that one. XLB above the anchored VWAP. XLV above the anchored VWAP. We got a gap below us, so be very mindful of that one. It's trying to decide whether or not to accept. We're right neutral at the anchored VWAP start for the month here on for September here for our healthcare. So be very mindful. So remember that that could be a an inflection point. The you know a potential top here. For anything coming into that beginning September anchored view app could very well be a swing top. So be very mindful of that. XLU is still very a beast. IYT, we do have FedEx reporting Thursday. Heads up on that. It's acting a little bit uh, slightly bullish here. I wouldn't do anything with that until FedEx comes out. Uh, XLY. Okay, so this is acting a little more bearish. See how the trends just went down a little bit here? We're right into that, so be very mindful of that. Our consumer discretionary is acting a little bit bearish. Bullish on our staples. We do have retail numbers coming out today. Heads up on that. This morning we do have retail numbers coming out, so that could improve that uh, XLY. So be XRT. That's our retail stocks. We're above the anchored view app. We're above the September start anchored view app. So very important. Like I said, this could be a top if we get some bad data on the retail. So heads up on consumer retail. I'm thinking it's not going to be bad after I've been to the stores. They've been busy. So potentially crossing a downtrend here on our energy. Heads up. I think I think it's a magnet to come back to the 89 area. So heads up on that here on XLE and XLK. We're just slightly pushing above our anchored view app. It's more like a chop vest, but we're slightly pushing up on the bullish side early on this morning. So the big thing that's going to be hitting us today, though, is the XLY. That's and XRT. Those are retail. So once that retail data comes out, then we can see what's going to happen in the markets. But that's just some of the things I'm looking at this morning. All told, though, from what I'm seeing right here, you should be very careful on the short side from what I'm seeing pre-market. So I actually need to see us come down some before I actually want to start looking short again. Just food for thought. Okay, thanks a lot for listening.